Joining me now is journalist and documentary filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Day 3 of the Democratic National Convention has seen everyone from Stevie Wonder to Oprah to Nancy Pelosi and Bill Clinton speak. Old Bill made a point to attack Donald Trump on foreign policy. Ami, how impactful has the DNC been in reaching undecided voters or those who are not particularly politically engaged?
Yeah, look, traditionally, you always get a bit of a bump after your convention. I think that'll probably be a little bit blunted by the fact that she's already kind of the sugar high after the coup against Joe Biden. So I think there'll be a little bit of a bump, not much. I mean, the truth is the numbers, maybe 7% of the country are watching on average the DNC every night. That's 7% of the most politically engaged people that exist in the country. So I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot when it comes to independence. But the fact is that you made me do prep by watching Pelosi and Bill Clinton's speeches. And Rita, that's 35 minutes I'm not getting back. So I'm a little bit peeved at you, to be honest. But, you know, look, there's a bunch of takeaways. Yeah, look, it's what I do for a living. You know, it's fine. I think there's a couple of interesting takeaways on that. First of all, there's this narrative now that you're hearing, right? The narrative initially was Joe Biden is 100% fine. Joe Biden is at the top of his game. Well, the new Democratic talking point is, oh, we are so thankful to Joe Biden for stepping down and allowing this to take. Are you kidding me? Nancy Pelosi shivved him in the back, right? When she's going on about how great Joe Biden, how wonderful he was stepping down. E2 Pelosi? That's exactly how this went down. You know, it's so weird. And of course, can you feel the joy, right? Can you feel the happiness? Yeah, it's all good vibes. You know, the left are the most unhappy people I've ever seen in my life. You know, when somebody says joy, feel the joy too often, you have to wonder if they really actually mean it. So, yeah, look, it is what it is. Traditionally, you get a little bit of a bump from this. I think she'll get a little bit, but this is really this is her high, right? It's not going to get better than this for her. And it's really still within spitting range. So if I'm the Trump campaign, I'm actually pretty happy with where I am.
Well, you're right about the fake joy. I've been watching more than 45 minutes. I've been watching the whole thing daily. And there's a lot of anger there. There's a lot of attacks. There's a lot of talk about unity and happiness and joy and bringing the country together. But then they spend so much time attacking half the country. And that ugliness is outside the venue as well. It's in fact far worse. You've been in the midst of it. Those protests continue outside the DNC in the streets of Chicago. Police are now having to show up in enormous numbers. There was a counter-protest, a group of pro-Israeli activists, and they had to be protected, Ami, because the so-called Love and Tolerance Brigade wanted to attack them. You've seen a lot of this with your own eyes. What is the mood like in the streets there?
Yeah, I didn't just see it, Rita. I felt it when these thugs were wrestling with me after my little stunt with them. Actually, truthfully, I don't blame them. You know, first of all, I want to say something. Never mind the anti-Semitism, right? Never mind the anti-Americanism. They're such litter bugs. I have photos of the amount of trash these people leave on. All their signs are left on the streets. They can't even clean up after themselves, Rita. It's horrible. No, there's no good vibes. There's no joy among these people. These are horrific, terrible Hamas terrorist supporting people who, again, I want to reiterate, hate the DNC, right? These are not people who are going to get Kamala's support, despite the fact that she is kowtowing to them, despite the fact that Joe Biden says they have a point. Like, they can try to bend the knee as much as they want to these animals. They are simply not going to support them. And look, you know what? There's a bunch of Jewish groups within the DNC who've had meetings. They've had to have these meetings in secret. Literally, they can't announce where these meetings are because they're afraid of physical violence from the hard left. That's what's going on. As opposed to the RNC, where Jewish people are on stage saying, bring the hostages back. They are feted in the RNC, but in DNC, they're like they're like the Moranos. They have to live in hiding among the Democrats because of violence. That's what it's like to be a Jew in the Democratic Party. Ask Josh Shapiro, despite his happy-go-lucky speech today, ask Josh Shapiro how he really feels about Jews in the Democratic Party.
Well, this is the thing. He did give a good speech today, but he should be the VP. Anyone with any sense can see he is the most, well, he's the natural choice. He's the governor, a very popular governor of Pennsylvania, a state that she needs to win if she's going to prevail. And to overlook him, essentially to appease those anti-Israeli segments of the party, I think is absolutely shameful. And there is a lot of division in the Democrats. They're trying to present this picture of one big happy family and united, but Biden's obviously angry. He's not even there. He's not talking to Nancy Pelosi. It's going to be interesting to see these rifts, and someone's going to write the story one day about how that coup happened. Who made the final call? Was it Nancy Pelosi? Was it Barack Obama? Was he threatened with was it 25th Amendment? Will we one day know how it all happened, Ami?
It's yes, yes, and yes, yes. It is all of those things. I mean, yeah, they're definitely trying to make it a happy-go-lucky, we're all one big family. I know that watching CNN's coverage and MSNBC's coverage of the DNC, they certainly are putting on the happy face. They're talking about how wonderful Tim Walz was, what a great choice it was. It was a massive, unforced error by Kamala and the Democratic Party to pass over Josh Shapiro, who may have given them the election, like you said, because really the ball game is Pennsylvania. Whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to win this election. He's incredibly popular in Pennsylvania. And they chose, let's be honest, this is a far leftist wackadoodle who supports people who have stated support for October 7th. Right? This is a guy who has said, who would try to push through an agenda of taking children away from their parents who are transgender. And by the way, that's a real thing. I know that the Democratic Party and the media carrying their water trying to say it's fake news. It's not fake news. I went into it. That's exactly what the courts were going to be emboldened to do. It was a massive mistake. And I think, look, if she loses, I think we can go back and point that and say that might have been the reason why she ended up losing.
Well, not only is he a far-left socialist, and he's proud of the socialist tag, but, you know, putting tampons in boys' restrooms throughout schools, but he's a governor of a state that doesn't matter. So how she could have made that call is beyond me, and if it costs her the election, well, there'll be a few books written about that. Now, Donald Trump held his first outdoor rally since the assassination attempt on his life just over a month ago. He appeared behind bulletproof glass alongside his running mate JD Vance. This is a sad development, Ami. It's necessary, obviously, in the current environment, particularly when you've got the Democrats en masse calling him a threat to democracy and a threat to the future of the Republic. But to see him behind that glass, I think it's an indictment on the current state of things in the US.
It's in particular indictment of the Democratic Party and the left, right? Because you don't see Joe Biden or Kamala Harris having to hide behind plexiglass and bulletproof glass. I think it's a hallmark of the left. I did a video where I walked around the day after the assassination attempt asking people in New York how they felt about it. And the vast majority of people I spoke to felt it was a lost opportunity. They hoped he was killed. They wish he was killed. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't want to waste the time of your audience going through the list of leftist violence, but Steve Scalise, congressman, Republican congressman, was shot by Bernie Sanders supporters at a congressional baseball game. Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, assassination attempt in his home. And of course, Donald Trump. This is a hallmark of the left. They use violence as political means. This is nothing new. I think you can go historically and look at the left and see that they use violence because it's the only way they can get their agenda pushed across. It's a problem. I'm not saying that there's no violence on the right whatsoever, but if we look at modern day history, we can see the majority of it's coming from the hard left. Not left of center Democrats, but hard left people who are part of the Democratic constituency. This is where most of the violence is coming from, if we're being honest.
Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Always a pleasure, Rita.